International commercial terms, or Incoterms, are rules for domestic and international trade that deals with shipments involving portable, tangible goods. Incoterms have been set in place to define at what point in a shipment that delivery takes place, as well as where cost, risk, and responsibility pass from the seller to the buyer. Delivery can take place at any point during the pre-carriage, main carriage, or on-carriage of a scheduled transaction.
My name is Roy Becker. I own a company, Roy Becker Seminars, which I've been doing now for 11 years. Prior to that, I had 30 years experience as an international banker. As an international banker, I worked with a lot of importers, a lot of exporters, helping them with the money side of their transactions. I learned very quickly as a banker that the money side of international trade is so closely tied to the shipping.
While there are only 11 Incoterm rules, the three-letter abbreviations have 10 specific tasks spelled out for both the seller and the buyer. These three-letter abbreviations are the same throughout the world and help to reduce misunderstandings amongst all parties involved in a shipping transaction. Concisely, Incoterms are important to help the buyer and seller determine who pays for the freight, if insurance is needed, and what documents are required.
It's important to use an Incoterm to clearly establish at what point does delivery happen. In summary, Incoterms is all about delivery. And delivery is defined as at what point does the risk of loss pass from seller to buyer. What if they didn't use an Incoterm? It's just mass confusion. Nobody knows at what point did risk pass. Who is responsible for insuring the goods? Who is responsible for preparing what documents? What about filing a claim if there is a loss? It all falls into place once buyer and seller have agreed to an Incoterm.
When companies are agreeing on an Incoterm, it seems only fitting that sales, purchasing, and finance should select what Incoterm is best for their organization. After all, shouldn't an Incoterm be selected by who's paying for the freight?
Incoterms begin when they're written into a contract. So who's involved in writing that contract? For sure, the salespeople are, or the purchasing, depending which side of the transaction they're on. And they should understand that the choice of Incoterm that they put into a contract is going to have tentacles that go through the whole transaction. It'll affect the shipping process. It'll affect the accounting. It'll affect production. It may even affect their ability to get paid on the transaction.
Once a sales contract is signed, it is difficult to change the Incoterm agreed upon by both parties. In most cases, changes occur because an organization needs to meet new customer requirements as well as fluctuating obligations and deadlines. If you're a company that is moving specialized or sensitive goods, what is it worth to make sure those goods are handled properly and moved on time?
When buyer and sellers agree to an Incoterm, there are a choice of 11 Incoterms they can agree to. There is no right Incoterm, there is no wrong Incoterm. But a good question to ask in choosing an Incoterm is who is in the best position to do the activity. For an importer, if they want to be in control of the freight, especially the port-to-port or airport-to-airport, they want to choose an Incoterm that allows them to choose the freight forwarder to do that activity, which would mean the E term, Ex Works, will give them that ability to do that, or one of the F terms will as well.
Every country has unique import and export requirements. With over 195 independent nation states, knowing what rules and regulations have changed and where can be overwhelming. While import and export terms are very similar, there are other important factors to consider when choosing an Incoterm.
What activity do they want to be in control of? And in most cases, they should be in control of the shipment for several reasons. One, there's certain documentation that has to be prepared for exporting out of this country as well as importing into the next country. Being in control of the freight forwarder will give them control over the documentation. It gives them control over the shipment. So generally for an exporter, they want to choose a term, either a C term or even a D term, that allows them to have full control of that shipment even to final destination.
Incoterms can be confusing, but international shipping doesn't have to be. Cap Logistics works to provide customers with the best solutions for their international shipments. If you need help with international shipments or would like a better understanding of Incoterms, contact Cap Logistics or Roy Becker today.